Hi, I'm Steven Lloyd and welcome back to the drawing board. This time I'm going to talk to you about some of our product developments and how we do it. I'm going to talk you through the whole process, the concept, the design, prototyping, right through to the full-scale manufacture. What we usually start with in product design is not a product but a problem. Somebody will identify a problem and it's up to us to map out some potential solutions. I'm going to use the example of the Sheetmaster. We're very proud to have been nominated as finalists for GE and CN Awards for product innovation, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about how it came about. The problem was with pitching sheets and installing a driving cap on the sheets when you wanted to start driving them. In both cases, you've either got somebody holding onto a loose sheet and having to hold it up. There's a chance of that sheet whipping out and hurting them. Also, installing the driving cap, potentially you've got a person climbing up a ladder onto the top of a sheet that's not very well towed in and trying to put a heavy piece of steel on top of that sheet. That obviously is not very safe. So here's the concept. This is where we get to the next stage. What format can you actually execute a solution? I mean, we knew what we wanted to do. We wanted to avoid a person being there pitching the sheet, and we wanted to avoid having to climb up a ladder to install it. But how do you achieve that? So the first concept we came up with was basically like a jaw that grips the sheet. It's just going to slide over the end of the sheet, pick it up, you can pitch it, you can control it, and you can begin driving at the same time. That makes it sound really easy. And in some ways it is. Once you've got a good idea, then you can run with it. The next bit is design. There's all kinds of other things to consider. The strength, how strong does it need to be to grip that sheet? How much is the sheet going to weigh? Will it twist? Will it break? The weight of it, somebody has to lift that and install it into the excavator. Will it be manhandleable? In this case, it turned out it wasn't. We had to find a way to mount it so that the excavator could pick it up. Actually fitting it to the excavator, there's different size pins. There is other bits of design that people have done years or decades before that we have to link into the standard sizes of pins in the excavator and the standard quick hitches that come with excavator arms. Safety, handling and use of it. Depending on how you design something, you may actually end up designing in dangers that you weren't aware of, pinch points, ability to trap your hand instead of the sheet into those jaws. We have to design those out or somehow find a way of protecting people against them. And then the geometry of the tool and the geometry of the sheet itself. Square peg in a round hole comes to mind. We had to think of a way of actually making the sheet fit into the jaw and a way for the jaw to fit multiple different shapes and sizes of sheet piles. Prototyping is the next step. Once we've designed all of those things in, or indeed designed things out, we make a one-off model of it that we can begin testing. This is a really important step. You find out what doesn't work. Comparing this jaw over here to this one, the first thing we found out was when these were two equally sized jaws, we couldn't get them onto the sheet. So in the end, we altered it slightly with an overhang on the top so you could rest it down onto the pile of sheets and begin picking it up. So prototyping really helps you to work out if something just isn't going to go together. You can't really do that in 3D software on computer. Sometimes you physically just have to work it on site and see what happens. You've made a one-off prototype, you've changed some things, and now you're going to manufacture. The way you manufacture something and the way you make a prototype are often two completely different things. A prototype can often be just bits of sheet metal welded together to make the shape that you want, whereas when you manufacture it, you want to try and make the bulk production as cheap as possible. So instead of welding 3 bits of steel, you might use one ready-formed section. Now you know what size it is, you can spec something different up that's a bit more suitable to the task at hand. One thing that's really important is the real-life usage of it. You're going to test the prototype, you're going to test it a few times, but nothing is as good at gathering data as sending it out and letting hundreds of people get their hands on it and start using it. When the people who are actually going to use this thing get their hands on it, they are going to tell you all of the bits that they don't like, and they're going to be very forward in telling you all of that stuff. They'll tell you if something's not quite as easy as you hoped, or if it's a little bit more time consuming, And it's your job then to take that back to the design and prototype stage and try and make continuous refinements. And that's the last stage. A product is never just static, it's always changing. Every single product we have is being maintained, refined, upgraded all the way through to try and make things better. People use it, they give us feedback, we then refine the design, we create a new upgrade and apply that to the fleet, and then people begin to use that new upgraded piece of equipment. It's a continuous process, something that takes up a majority of my time. That's mostly what I do at Groundforce. And that should have given you a bit of an insight into how not only we design products, but how we develop existing products. So if you've got any questions, please comment below or give us a like, and I will see you next time on Back to the Drawing Board. Thanks for watching.